My name is Philemon. I am the permanent representative for South Africa at UNESCO. A permanent representative is at an ambassadorial level, which means that I represent the interest of South Africa in this organization, which is a multilateral organization that's trying to promote equity across the world on issues of education, science, and culture. So my role at UNESCO would be to ensure that the interests of South Africa are presented to the global community in education, science, and culture, but also for South Africa to learn on how the other nations that are part of the UNESCO family approach things. I started my career as a physics lecturer, but even before that, when I completed my honors degree, I had the opportunity at the University of Fort Hare to work with young people to interest them on the side of doing experiments in physics. So I was responsible for all first-year laboratory and science experiments that young people needed to do as part of their career. Physics is about understanding almost everything in the world, how it works, and then try and justify or explain why it happens. And now, as you know, there are different fields in physics. There is astronomy or astrophysics, where you're trying to use physics principles to understand the origins of the universe and how the universe is expanding. You can also try and understand, why does a TV work? It's because of the principles of physics understanding materials called semiconductors. So the field is quite broad. So when I then was appointed as a director of the National Laser Center, I was also exposed to the use of lasers not only in material characterization, but on an area of work which is called optics. So this is where you take a laser and you put it through a range of lenses to concentrate it for a number of applications. The other one was to use lasers in the area of health, where you can take a laser beam and shine it on a cell, biological material. And because it's got energy, it has the ability to change the properties of the cell. And there have been a lot of applications of the use of lasers, for instance, in the treatment of cancer. The policy side is a very interesting area. I found it personally very exciting, despite the fact that it took me away from academia. You need, of course, to be a policy maker to be grounded in the principles of science and the principles of physics, chemistry, and so forth, and also have a better understanding of how the political environment works. In my case, I was a Director General, which means the minister who gets appointed for that particular area, in this case science, technology and innovation, is interested in translating the policies of government into a range of programs. And my job is to say what kind of programs by the scientific community needs to be in place to make sure that they fulfill the needs of government. I grew up in Durban. I was lucky in the sense that when I was young, my neighbor was a mechanic. He would then invite us to be what you call spanner boys. That, I think, is where my interest in science and engineering and how things work started. In life, if you don't propel yourself, there is no substitute for hard work. When I grew up, I was raised by my grandmother. She was a tough cookie. We used to wake up at 4 in the morning to go and work in the garden. And when we came back at about 6, 7 in the morning, you were not allowed to touch anything in the kitchen until you have had a bath and you also have had some chores inside the house. And maybe when you're young, you think that these things are an abuse, but I think it helped me to have this, what I call now, high work ethic. Looking back now, that carried me through all the way, because you knew that if you want to be successful in life, it's not your friend, it's not your mother, it's not your father, it's only you who has to work hard.